Live from the J.C. Newman Cigar Studio and the Gurkha Cigar Studio in the great state of New Hampshire. Welcome to the Smokin Tabacco Show with your hosts, Matt Tobacco and Smokin Nicole.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Smokin Tabacco Show. My name is Matt Tobacco of SmokinTobacco.com, and I am finally back again with Nicole, who was absent last week. And
I know, I missed the show.
I know you missed out on perhaps one of the greatest shows we've ever done, if not the greatest show we've ever done.
Really?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. But Pat was here, and Pat filled in for you, and he was a little slow to get started, but he started from the back, but he ended up on the podium, so it was a good one for him too.
Well, he's a great fill-in, so I mean, I'm sure it was a good show. I'm sorry I was sick.
He knows what he's doing.
I'm still a little bit runny. I sucked it up for spare notes on Saturday, but the summer cold is just hard to kick.
Yeah. I'm excited though, because I like when we have new guests on the show. First of all, return guests are always great, and especially if they return, it means they're good enough that they got invited back. Which, if you don't return to the show, there's usually a reason for it, and there is a few people who are on the blacklist, but that's neither here nor there. We're not here to get into that, but there is a black book, and there are people on it, and that's okay. But new guests are great because at this point in the game, we've really had a majority of the really established people on the show, and they've all made a couple of trips, and it's great when they come by. But I really like when I get wind of maybe someone that's a little newer, someone that's a little less heard of, or someone who's newer but really starting to make a lot of noise. And about a year ago or so, I really first, if I'm being honest, I started hearing about Domain. And I remember asking Coop about it. I said, "Coop, what's this Domain brand? I don't think I know them." And he, it's a great brand. I gotta tell you. And he started raving about it. And I said, all right, I gotta find them. And they weren't really up around here. As the year went on, I started to kind of follow them a little bit more and more. We went to the trade show. They were on my personal list of people to go and meet, and unfortunately I didn't get to, but you did, which is great. So somebody did, which is nice. And I know you had a lot of things to say about Daniel Lance, who is proprietor of Domain Cigars. And I started smoking some of the cigars, and I was really impressed. And he's been watching our shows every week. And I said, I gotta get this guy on the show. I really do. Well, today is that day. Today, I am more than happy and honored to finally welcome on Daniel to the Smokin Tabacco Show. And there he is, live in the factory.
Hello.
What's up, Daniel?
Yeah, live from Esteli, Nicaragua. Thanks so much for having me on and getting to discuss Domain Cigars, Pariah Cigars, and all the craziness that we work on every day.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
It's great to have you. It really is. There's a lot of things that I want to ask you in our short amount of time that we have.
Okay.
But I'll start from the beginning, and that is, where are you originally from? I mean, and I say this with the utmost respect, but
Right.
I have eyes and ears. You're a gringo.
Right.
You're a gringo. So what are you doing?
Well, we don't usually put it that way. It's not the nicest term. But it's I you notice because I speak native English. So I'm originally from California. Livermore area, California. Lived in the Midwest for quite a long time now. I have family there. Kansas. So not Kansas City, Missouri, but Kansas.
Yeah.
So Kansas City, Kansas. That's where Domain is based out of today. It's where we do our distribution out of as well. So been there quite a long time now, and really enjoy it. Moved out to Nicaragua on a whim. My professional career kind of took me all over the world, and wound up stuck in Heathrow, London Heathrow. I called my boss and said, "Hey, do you care where I live?" And he goes, "No. As long as you can get to an airport, you can live wherever you want." And it was $3,000 to fly back to Nicaragua because I had been there a week before for just, I think 7 days. I'd taken a week-long vacation with a retailer friend of mine in Esteli. And I knew half the town, and before I knew it, I was buying a ticket to fly back to Nicaragua. It was $5,000 to go to my house in Kansas, and it was $3,000 to go back to Nicaragua. So I flew back to Nicaragua, got a house, and the rest is kind of history. I mean, that's been 7 years now or so.
Wow.
So it's 2026. That was 2019 when I moved out here. So. So it's been quite a while. Moved out to Esteli, got a house and a farm in Esteli. We weren't growing tobacco on that farm. We were growing frijoles, beans. And from there, kind of got to know what would be my future business partner, Esteban Disla, and the Disla family. So got to know them really well, super welcoming, warm people. And Esteban has just had an incredible background in cigar craftsmanship and building some of the most, successful and well-revered factories and Esteli. So, he's originally Dominican, so he has kind of his own origin story coming from the Dominican Republic. So I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to partner with him and build what we believe is probably the first vertically integrated enterprise in premium cigars in more than 30 years. Just because we don't really know another example, it's a lot smarter to build one thing, make it successful, build the next thing, make it successful, and so on. But if you think back to the Cuban Exodus, all those families, they had to leave, they had to start over, and they had to start in the fields, building the factory, and then building their brands. So a lot of respect and admiration for who those people were, and that's the type of person that Esteban got to apprentice with in his youth, and something that we try to carry on to this day. So I am the junkie that moved to the poppy field, cigar junkie that moved to the poppy field. So
that's awesome. No, really. I mean, it's I don't know. I feel like a lot of people say like, man, I wish I could do that. And, and they don't. And it's not, it's easier said than done, I think, for most people, but you did it. You're like,
sure.
No, I'm going down there, and there you are, and you kind of got yourself planted now, and you're off and running.
Yeah, it makes no sense really. Like if you want to make a good cigar, you can make a good cigar at a lot of factories. We have a lot of respect for people in the Valley that are, every year whenever like the top 20 lists come out and everything, and and somebody wins it and all that. It's, again, like, we're competitors, we're not enemies in this business, but everybody is deserving. It's a really difficult business. It's a really difficult industry. I would say that this is the industry side, and I had been in the retail side, before my cybersecurity stuff took off to the point where I just couldn't continue doing it. But I had worked for brick and mortar retailers for more than a decade before all of this, and had my own accessories company. And I started with Eric Dunch, which is the engineer that also helped bring Liga La Forma to life. And so I've had a lot of really deep interest in cigars for a long time. But I think that this is kind of the less obvious thing to do. The hope is, of course, in 10 years that the company that you're looking at is going to be, that much more mature versus building out, it takes you from building a brand to building a factory. That could be a 10-year gap. And then going out and, building, your own distribution hub, or building out, your own brokerage, and then building out your own farms. All of those segments will take, a decade each to really get good at, and to figure out how to make them profitable, So building all of them all at once is very much more money than brains. So we'll see if it works out. The thing is, it's like any other business or startup in that regard. Just because you go out and build all the infrastructure and you put all the sweat into it, it doesn't mean it's just going to be successful.
Right.
successes, particularly in cigars, is so thin, and the ability to fill out the market and where taste is going in the market, not only from a cigar standpoint, but visually, and how you're assembling your brand and your services and so on. It is a very much a balancing act. I would dare say like never before. And you as a professional media and YouTube, you understand this as well as anyone. Algorithm manipulations that hinder your ability to reach your target audience, the inability to discuss sponsorships with certain customers that would accelerate your ability to move forward. We've never been in a more difficult business climate. So while I hope that other people do this crazy concept that we've done, I don't know who or when that's going to happen, but I hope to see it in my lifetime. And so, and again, that's what's unique about cigars is how many people would hope that they get another formidable competitor. I hope we do, because it means that we're onto something, right?
Absolutely. And I like how you even compared it to the meat. I mean, I think what you're doing is a little bit more weight on the shoulders, but yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. It is tough. It's a long road, in anything that you do, anything you build, and it's never easy. Sometimes it seems like it starts off easy, or it starts off hard, then it gets easy, but it's really never easy.
Sure.
Even when it feels like it is, there's always the next challenge. There's always the next mountain to climb. There's always going to be things beyond your control, and you have to be able to react to it. You have to be able to figure it out, solve it. Pivot, take a detour. Yeah, there's a lot. But again, especially in cigar making, I mean, there's definitely a lot more, going on there. Before we get too deep into the weeds.
But going back to that, I mean, you're spending your time, and your time is as valuable as my time, and what you do with it and what you commit yourself to, it does matter in your life, and regardless of whether I have $1 million obstacle tomorrow, or whether you have a $1,500 obstacle, they can be as equally challenging. And so I do appreciate a lot what media brings to cigars. So I just want to say that.
Oh, I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah. In a world where sometimes we feel overlooked a lot of the times, there's a few co-media that will hear that tomorrow and will be like, yeah, I appreciate that.
That's true.
And then there's a lot of other manufacturers that'll go right over their head, but that's fine. Thank you. No, I really appreciate that. Before we get too deep into the weeds, let's talk about what we're smoking tonight. Our cigar is brought to you by the number 2 GuyCigars.com. That's right, the number 2 GuyCigars.com. Head over there today for an amazing selection of cigars and accessories from brands you know and love, and maybe a few new ones you haven't quite discovered. Do yourself a favor. Head over to the number 2 Guys Cigars today.
Including Domain.
Yeah, so
They do have it.
They do have Domain. That's right. 2 guys, the almighty David Garofalo, went in on Domain. I see it on the shelf in the stores. And I was really excited, I have to say. Part of my soliloquy in the beginning is I noticed that, one of my home shops that obviously, I'm very intertwined with, I walked in one day and boom, there you were on the shelf. And I said, oh shit, you guys bought Domain. And they were like, we did. And I was like, all right. I'm getting really excited now because, now, and they're very selective. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, they're very good at what they do. They've been doing this a long time. They have to. Dave and Ed are very good at what they do, and when it comes to bringing in a new brand, they have to make sure it's right. And when I saw that, I knew, I'm like, that means that they saw that there was something special in you for them to put you in that store. So I that was kind of another like, oh shit, wow, okay, yeah. But you're our guest, so I'm gonna let you you go first. What are you smoking?
Well, so I'm actually smoking a customer project. I can't discuss it yet. It'll be news for next month.
Ooh.
But this gentleman is going to be making some big waves. He's already made a lot of big waves. and we have something very special going on. It's not something that you would suspect. It's a very unusual circumstance, but when you kind of put it in context, it makes a lot of sense why he would come to us, and why our partnership is going to be, I think, formidable in his region that he is, kind of the hero of. And I'm looking forward to kind of introducing him to the rest of the United States. So that kind of ties on to some other news that we had come out today. But yeah, it is. This is a San Andreas. It's quite bold on the palate, and it's delicious. I'm really enjoying it. I really like this guy's take on cigars. So yeah.
And you said that was a
I'm not giving
retailer?
too much away. No, so he's actually a cigar brand and beyond.
Okay.
He doesn't own retail, but he's been big on the industry side for a great number of years now, and he's brought everything to us. We're very very fortunate. We have we announced today domain distribution where we're extending to people that manufacture with us the opportunity for us to act as their merchant of record in the United States, which helps limit a lot of the exposure to duplicate work that the brands that we work with have to endure. There are three things you are when you're a brand. You're a sales organization, you're a distribution company, and you're a marketing company. And the biggest problem that everyone has is we're all building out duplicate distribution. We're building out duplicate sales teams. And, what if we had a way of unifying that? And that's what domain distribution as a merchant of record exclusively for our manufacturing customers is doing, so that they can focus on marketing their products, engaging with their clientele, and we see, a new landscape forming around how sales and retail interact with brands. And I think we're early on that, frankly, but I do see there being some pivotal changes coming up, and we want to be there to help our customers in the factory and help kind of bring them across the line in such a way where we're not going out and building duplicate costs into cigars, keeping things practical. So that's what domain distribution is really tagging onto. We have an incredible software platform behind that for our sales team and for our customers, and this gentleman is tied into that as well. So that'll be an announcement for next month. But very excited to share that with you guys. It's something we've been working on for quite a while now. So,
Well, that's pretty awesome. I saw the press release come through my desk, and I was like, "Oh, this is something. This is new." I know you had messaged me earlier. And I appreciate you bringing it up and kind of going into it. I was gonna bring it up later, but you did, so it's good.
I figured you were. Yeah.
we covered it now. Nicole, you are smoking the attenuation.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good one. I really like that one.
Perfect.
And I'm smoking the Neutron, which I
Perfect.
have to say, it's the old, like, nobody cares about packaging, but everybody cares about packaging. Right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The bands are cool.
I love the band.
The bands
Yeah.
are really, really cool. I really like the foil
you.
on like the matte black. It pops. It really does. And they really stand out great. I just love the way they look. I haven't seen one of the boxes really like up close, really like played with it, but the bands are fantastic.
We're always making improvements to them, and even with with our printer media head, we've won awards, of course, for our production, and like the black that you mentioned, that's actually a special technique to make the black look that way. They have to hit it with pigment twice, and then they go over it one more time dry, and it's this technique that they use to get the blacks to be as deep as we want them to be, and get them very consistent. But yeah, I agree. What's your take on that? Because I have a very informal way of saying this. That I don't necessarily want to say in the presence of a lady. Nicole seems very very cool, but I call them joke cigars. So peacock joke cigars, if you will. There's a lot of cigars in the market that are put out with marketing, and it seems like the marketing just kind of stopped after the cigar was made. And when it comes to packaging, it's like, hey, what's everybody else doing? Well, there's an approach to that, of course, like what's everybody else doing, because it's going to be familiar to retail, it's going to be familiar to customers, maybe, but man, whenever customers get off of a particular thing, they drop it like a ton of bricks, and retailers oftentimes are holding the bag. So we don't typically like to go after anything that I guess you would expect. We want to go after rich design, which for a new company in our position, that's not common. It's like, hey, find some kind of gimmick or something to put on the cigar, or something that you do, and that's been an attractive thing for a long time. And hey, if it works, it gets you in the market, okay. But I'm just personally, I'm a fan of really quality packaging. There's some icons in the business that I could look towards. Actually, some people you've spoken to recently that, I love their takes on packaging and the quality that they put in, and the forethought that they put into the designs and so on. So those are all, really big inspirations, but we kind of have like this Art Deco thing that's like stooped in, Christianity and so on. But, it's not so on the nose that people have to be, force fed the idea. It's simply iconography that I think, in the great American experiment that we're all going to be able to easily understand. And then QR codes, we are in the digital age, but the theme overall is creation, and the initial series of cigars is referred to as the constellation. So we want to kind of work with all of the stars, and that we want to work with all of the regions of tobacco, the very best of what we can procure. We want to assemble those into the very best cigars that we possibly can, and make them a story that's captivating. We try not to be contrarians at how we look at tobacco, but you are smoking Neutron. Neutron's medium body Mexican San Andreas. Oftentimes San Andreas is going to be blended to be full bodied and very robust on the palate. And I've often found that cigar to be very calm on the palate, where San Andreas typically, is a bit overwhelming. And of course, dressing it in a copper, what's Mexico known for? Mexico is actually known for coppersmithing. So it was very obvious to me, okay, I'm going to make the San Andreas copper. And then, as far as, dressing the trade dress of the overall company, we've put a lot of thought into, the overall design approach. So,
Yeah, I mean, I love a good, thoughtful design. And I grew up around printing, so my dad's actually a printer. So just even like,
oh wow, okay, awesome.
He used to have the old presses in his basement, and he would paint and mix colors on
letterpress
and things like that. But he does everything. I mean, he's migrated to.
He's talked a lot about like copper plate and all that stuff. Yep.
So he can do that. He had, we had a dark room in our basement growing up, so he was just like very arty and intense. But all of these, but there are so many details on this, and I always joke, because you're right. It's one of the first things I feel like people skip over is good packaging. Even though a band is so small, it can say so much. And how do you stand out in a sea of other cigars in a shop? So sometimes people are
right.
drawn to the imagery and drawn, to the luxury of a good label. Cigars are technically luxury products, if you will. So
Yeah.
to then, spend money on one and then have a cheap band or it feel
Right.
cheap. I just, obviously we want it to be a good cigar and everyone will say that. But as a lady who has an eye, I don't know. I just feel like good packaging matters. So, and I love this too
Yeah.
for a band. It's just very detailed and nice. And the QR code, missed opportunity. So many people don't use. I feel like more
That's
people
true.
are putting them on
Yeah.
now, but it's still not
Yeah.
enough. I feel like why haven't people, started utilizing, the back, the inside, and it costs money, obviously, to print on both sides. To costs money and
Sure.
doing indentation and colors and finishes and all that stuff. So.
It does, and it is quite an art too. In that we put all this thought into it, but at the end of the day, in the packaging, in so many ways, we want it to be beautifully neutral. So, which sounds funny because we do put so much thought into who this speaks to, and we ended up going with more of a Art Deco approach as opposed to a direct artwork on bands and so on, and so it's much more like a system of how it is designed and constructed, which actually presents a lot of barriers to things like collaboration and limited edition and so on. I have a limited edition project that I have a gentleman. He's very hot to work on it, and we want to work on it, but a limited edition for us would be like couple tens of thousands of cigars, like the plates, and you guys have seen photos of the plates. I think you have them on your website as well, that we use to actually print those bands. I mean, those are they're not cheap. They're around $3,000 a piece, for one of those finished plates, and that's just what we need to make to actually make the embossing. So if you want to do really quality work that speaks to people, but I want the cigars, whenever you come upon them on the shelf, I want you to kind of develop your own relationship to the cigars, to the packaging, and so on. And so how do we do that? And we embed enough iconography that you still understand that there's real people, with thoughts and ideas on the world behind the cigars. And I'm pretty happy with how we wound up on the Constellation and Pariah, for that matter. Which Pariah was supposed to be. I talked to Kevin about this, and it was supposed to be like really chill, really relaxed, a little edgy and everything like that. And then we got into core design on it, and we just lost our minds. Like we were like, let's make it gorgeous, let's make it, so it was supposed to be, probably even more toned down than Domain. And I think it in its own way became louder. The more we removed from packaging, the louder it seemed to become on its own. So, but I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, I think that it's sleek, and I firmly believe in sometimes less is more. And there's a lot of great designs and packagings in the industry. I mean, there's tons of stuff, but more often than not, the ones that are like this, a little bit more classic, simple, I think look the best. It's just it's bold. It makes a statement. It's not too busy. It jumps out at you. It looks clean. To me it looks sharper. And it's the first thing I noticed. I mean, it was like, wow, look at those bands. Like they're badass. Dressy, So you really got your hand on that one. But speaking of, you want to talk about style. You want to talk about luxury. You can't mention those without talking about SC Dupont. Shaking up the legacy every week on the Smokin Tabacco Show, featuring the new SC Dupont table lighters. For $7.99, you too can have an ST Dupont table lighter. Ask your local retailer for one today. Also, while we're at it,
it has the soft flame and the torch.
It does.
Is that what you were showing off?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Soft flame.
That's probably worth checking out.
Yeah. It's heavy. It's a little it's hefty.
It's a table lighter, so it's
I like heavy,
Yeah. It's got some.
Right.
Also, because it has the room, it holds a lot of fuel. Although, depending on where you have your fuel set to, it also burns through a lot of fuel. But it does hold a lot of fuel. I'll give it that. It's got some weight to it. And right now, it's available in the palladium in black and the gold plate in black. Yep. So.
Can you get those from Dave? Is that where you get them?
I don't know if Dave carries these, to be honest. I don't think he does.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he does.
I'll have to give him a call.
Yeah, you should. Give him, be like, you got to bring that in, We'll get Les Man on it, too. I'll tell Les, let's go. Make a trip. No, but they're cool. They're badass. Really, really, really like these, actually. And also, while we're at it, we'll give a shout-out to our friends at Nova Cigar, who are with us every week while we make Nova big. I want to take a quick moment to also run into our DTT segment really quickly. Our Gripe of the Week brought to you by Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust, which I don't know if you guys saw, but...
did Steve have one this week?
He did. It's a very interesting one, actually. Today is Steve's birthday, and he's not happy about it. He doesn't like his birthday. He doesn't think men should be happy about their birthday. He made a long post. I think the most shocking to me, and I don't know, you guys can call me crazy. He said, yes, today I'm 61 years old. And I was like, I did not think Steve was that old.
Wait, really? Wait, no.
That's good.
He's 61.
I thought he was older than 61.
Oh, I thought he was like early 50s.
No.
I'm like, he's 61? I was like, he's 61? I don't know. I think he looks good for 61. I mean, I'm just saying. I thought he looked younger to me.
I don't like that gripe, though. I don't make a fuss about my birthday as I am a man. Making a big celebration of one's birthday is the purview of children and women.
They just go a long rant. It's like, it's your birthday. Right. Like, just shut up and be happy.
Women feel the same way. I want to go backwards, not forwards.
Yeah, but in 2026, though, there's a lot of adult women that make their birthday into a week-long celebration, and it's like you're 48.
A week, a month,
a month. Yeah. We know a couple of those too. It's like you're 48. Like, slow down. Come on. But yeah, so that's kind of our combo. Gripe of the week, shout out for his birthday.
He's so grumpy. Understand, I will not reply to anyone who tags and wishes him a happy birthday.
I know.
I will not reply, comment, or even click that little likey icon, and I don't give a flip about your wishing me a happy whatever. My plans for today, work in a root canal, possibly two, depending on what the endo determines.
Well, I mean, so some advice for Steve though is he can turn off people knowing about his birthday. I don't know if they have it saved on his calendar, but I turn all that off. I don't personally celebrate my birthday, which I get some gripe from my girlfriend about that. She's like, you don't celebrate birthdays, and I just no, it's never been like one of these days where it was all roses and so on. So yeah, I don't celebrate mine either.
That's interesting. Oh, there you go. You got some sympathy from Daniel. It's like, yeah, I don't celebrate. It's all good, Steve.
But he keeps the comments.
He can hide it on Facebook.
Yeah, that's on him.
But that's a very Steve thing to do, where I'm just not going to like or do it instead of.
But secretly he does. He's like, everybody wish me a happy birthday, please.
Yeah.
So he can sit.
He just could never admit to it.
No, he'll go in public and be like, I really don't like that people celebrate my birthday. But then he's sitting there with Cindy at night being like, wow, 1,000 people DM me. That's awesome. And Cindy's like, oh, come on, Steve.
I guess it's a marketing angle, I guess. Yeah.
I think it is. Steve might make us change this segment next
I don't know. He's pretty good. He's pretty good at what he does. He's got.
Let us have free reign, and this is what.
He's like, I really don't care what you do, as long as DTT gets a couple of good nods. I'm like, yeah, they do. I mean, they make good cigars. I mean, Mike Rita, you got Sobre Mesa, the new Stillwells just went out. I mean, we'll give him some love. He's here. It's his segment. Smoke TTT.
All right, so if you're watching, today is Steve's birthday, right? As
Today.
we're live recording this. Okay, if
Yes.
you're watching this live, go to Steve, tell him happy birthday from Domain Cigars.
Yeah, do it.
See what is say that you heard about it on the Smokin Tabacco podcast.
Yeah.
and then he can come on here and tell you how much he doesn't like his birthday.
I'm going to save it in my calendar, and then every year I'm just going to be like, oh, by the way, it's Steve's birthday today. Anyway, enough about Steve. Let's get back to Daniel. So there's a lot of things we could talk about. So you kind of give us the brief history of getting down to Nicaragua, kind of getting everything started. And maybe you mentioned it, but there was a lot there. I just want to make sure I understand. So at what point did you get into just smoking cigars? Because obviously the cart didn't go before the horse. So what?
Sure.
How did that begin for you? And kind of, I know you touched on kind of your other career that you had. So kind of like what were you doing before all of this?
Where did it fall in? Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy though if I'm just like, no, I never tried one, and we started doing all this.
I just thought this would be a good idea.
Right. No, so I got into cigars 20 years ago. So that was the birth of my niece and nephew. Cigars are the epitome, I think, for me and so many others of success and celebration and cheer and so on. And so when they were born, I went out and got a cigar, and my first premium cigar was a Quesada, which was a Fonseca at the time. It was made by Emmanuel Quesada. So Fonseca vintage 2001 in a tubo. I brought it from a supermarket. And little did I know the tubo was probably the best thing on the shelf for me to buy because, supermarket humidors historically at that time were not well maintained.
No.
I think a lot of that's changed today. But that said, in that first cigar I tried, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no instruction. I knew you had to cut them and stuff like that. I knew that there was a particular way of lighting them and stuff. But this is 20 years ago, so it wasn't like I was immediately going to YouTube to figure this stuff out. So I cut the cap off. I knew I was supposed to smoke that end, and I was like, do you cut the other end? I didn't know. So I just snipped a little off. I'm like, yeah, it can't hurt. I had no idea. I didn't know what I was doing. So I cut both ends of the thing. So, and I remember smoking that first cigar. I was like, how do I make my life where I can do this every day in that first cigar? So it was just, it was so enjoyable. And, it was after that, it was kind of like a, occasional, any reason to celebrate a party, an event or what have you, I'd go pick up some cigars. And, then whenever I kind of discovered the community and the nuance of cigars and, that it was, something that you can basically spend your life, learning about. Right. And the community, I was just kind of all in at that point, the camaraderie among, cigar smokers and everything. And I always tell people there's, a lot of times there's something that cigar people are missing, when they get it. Not everybody, some people get into cigars because their family, introduced them to it or what have you. And, I got into it and I found this community, and it was at the time, 20 years ago, it was a lot of business owners. It was a lot of older gentlemen that, I was looking for in life in general, business mentorship and so on. And I found that setting in a cigar lounge. But I found that in the best possible way. I found that, next to a firefighter, which was actually Joe Stapp, who works for us now in the Florida market. A firearms instructor and a plumber and, an attorney and an accountant. And, I got to learn, business and so many lessons about life from these people, sitting on a couch at, 18 years old. That was back when you could smoke at 18, before the federal government did what they did. So I was super fortunate to find, that community. And, my cigar consumption seemed to kind of grow with my career. So it certainly, there's a lot of great lessons I've learned from retailers and people at lounges. around business and careers. And I've actually, found a lot of work, and, it actually kind of helped inspire what I would later end up doing in cybersecurity. Wound up meeting a gentleman that, hired me, the first person to hire me to work for a full circle security company, which he still operates today. And he did a lot of really high profile projects. And, I couldn't have gotten a better introduction to the career that I would later have for, a good majority of time. And so I was, really, really grateful for those relationships. One of the startups that I worked on, that was in industrial cybersecurity. I met the guy coming in the lounge. I was a desk engineer working on X-ray machines where we would make the PLCs, and we actually, wrote our own PLCs. We wrote our own software and everything for those X-ray machines. And I would do that every day. And he just overheard me having a conversation with another engineer talking about something called variable frequency controllers, or VFDs, variable frequency drives. And he
I'm
was,
an electrician,
kind of
so
asking me,
I know.
okay. There you go.
Yeah. So I follow. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we were talking about at the time, Mitsubishi had, really bad programming set up around how you had to initialize these drives and all this kind of stuff. So we were just talking about that. It was, I believe it was a GM engineer at one of the plants there in Kansas City. And I was just working, in the evenings at this lounge because I wanted to stay connected to cigars and stay connected to the community. So, I'd get done working my professional job, and then I'd, go there and work at the cigar shop. And this guy asked me, he's like, "Well, can you hack anything?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What do you want?" Because I had been a hacker kid and everything like that. And that was kind of, how I got into hacking computers and stuff originally. And so I ended up, hacking a bunch of like wireless sensor networks, and I got invited to Washington to give a speech. And then, his firm, which was a brand new firm, hired me. I was the fourth person to work with that firm, and we built it up. It was very successful. Built it up in 2 years. We're doing millions of dollars in business, and I wasn't a partner over there though, so I didn't own it. So from there, I went on to work with a bunch of software companies and cybersecurity, and that kind of took me further away from cigars, which I loved. Still had my accessories company, Lujo Concepts, where we make cigar cutters. And I still had that company. I think we brought that to market in 2016, 2017. It's hard for me to remember. But we had been working on it since I think about 2010, actually. So we've been working on it for quite a long time. So yeah, I always wanted to find some way back. There was a point where I could have gotten into retail. That passed. It was, especially by the time I moved down here to Nicaragua, I had already at that point worked on like 6 startups or so. I did 2 more startups, living and working from Nicaragua, flying into Europe and Asia and the United States and other places. And so I worked on 2 more of those. They became unicorns. So unicorns is $1 billion and like under your E round of funding. I think it's like a $1 billion evaluation under your E round in under 5 years or something is what a unicorn is. So I did in like 4.5 years. I built 2 of those in cybersecurity, and we sold one of them already. So that was good. So I'm, and I didn't do that well. You don't do that well on startups anymore, guys. Okay. I got the dojo guys running around calling me a billionaire and all that. I'm like, yeah, I don't, not even remotely close. Not now, especially with all this,
Yeah. No way.
Yeah. This is all pretty pricey to maintain, of course, but the businesses, that I had started before, I think in so many ways, that I had started or worked on, as a contributor, I've been through so many different phases of being a director, a contributor, an executive, and so on, that, I think that probably well prepared me for what this task would be like. And in a lot of ways. In other ways, there's almost nothing like cigar manufacturing and the industry of cigars. I call this the industry. I call what we do in the States the business of cigars. And they're quite different. They're really quite different. Different but similar. That was a really long answer to my first cigar.
That's okay. Well,
that's par for the course with me. I can't shut the fuck up. You just have to interrupt me. I apologize for my language, but
It's
no,
interesting.
you don't have to apologize here.
No.
But no, it's interesting. And the other thing too is I want people to get to know you.
Yeah.
And make sure they kind of know like what you guys are all about. I mean, my next question was going to be, talk about your cigars and kind of, what sets you apart from everyone else. I mean, obviously you have a lot of passion for what you do. And, we see a lot of people enter the business and the industry, which I like how you kind of separate those. But we see people enter both, and everyone kind of does their own thing. There's no right or wrong answer. Obviously, some people see more success than others. Everybody has their own personal strategy. Everybody has a personal meaning as to why they love this business. Sure. But for you, I mean, for the cigars you have, why? Why Domain? Why Domain Cigars? What makes Domain special?
So, I mean, in an elevator pitch on that, you've got one of the foremost manufacturers in Esteban Disla and the Disla family. I own half of this. We put Esteban's family in front of this because they're the people that for so long, in the last 25 years, 27 years, I guess, that Esteban's been in Esteli. If you've, smoked premium cigars, boutiques, anything, you've probably come across one of his cigars. When he was at Latin America Cigars, he helped build, at the time, one of the most valuable factories that was later acquired by, General and what today as STG. So he's in, we're always very happy with all the success and the work that he's put on. Went on to build a factory, I believe, just because I don't know any other scenario, you've got a gentleman who's worked his way through every single phase of agriculture, of manufacturing, and now owning a brand with me in the United States. So you've got kind of a one-of-one story there, and that he's a Dominican coming to Nicaragua and doing that. We have the approach from soil to smoke. We own our own farms. We process our own tobacco, our own hybridized tobacco now as well, and our own factory and our own brands. And to an extent as well, our customers benefit from that architecture where they get a unique experience. They get a unique take on tobacco from a blending style that has now become probably more than a third of cigars on the market are influenced by a Disla family member today. So the family has had, I think, just a legendary contribution, in my personal opinion, of their work. And so many brands, even some brands that we've discussed tonight, have benefited from working with and shown their gratitude, as do I, for the opportunity to be able to apprentice and share all of that with you. So in so many ways, that's my pitch around what's different about Domain. You can go into a lot of reasons as to why you might like an individual cigar. It could be attenuation with our hybrid Vanguard Aegis, our selection of wrapper quality, which is unique to the cigar, unique to the Valley, just being that there's not that much Cahuca, Connecticut out there, especially in factories of our size. That's another unusual thing around sourcing. A lot of cigar factories are doing their very best to put out a good and consistent product, but when you've got a gentleman there that's used to making millions of cigars and has operated as chief of production lines that have put out, some absolutely formidable brands that Esteban has been able to contribute to, you get a very different take on selection of tobacco, and we like to say picking the ripest fruit. So that's individually quite exciting about each individual cigar. New Gentropy, for example, this is a pink Habano that is finished in rosado on the wrapper. The wrapper is brought to us by Oliva Tobacco, very open about how and where we source these things. Double Lajero in the cigar, which Double Lajero is actually the priming. And in the priming of Double Lajero, you actually leave it twice the time on the plant between harvesting the primings of the tobacco to make it a Double Lajero. So it's richer by time, not by there being twice the number of leaves. So I think that, just that as an example of the nuance of detail, it's something that we took upon ourselves on our YouTube as well. Is we didn't just want to do our YouTube. Our YouTube is Domain Cigars. We're not. I get griped for this as well. We don't do a whole lot of individual promotions of retail. Now, of course, we know what the TOS of YouTube is. The terms of service of YouTube is we can't be promoting tobacco for sale and so on. And we don't do that here, and we don't do that on our Domain Cigars channel. But what we are discussing, which is different about how we approached building out education around Domain, was we want to show you every way that a cigar is constructed. We want to show you every way that molds are being looked at. We want to show you the entire landscape and then point to, here's why we chose this. Because I think that's a more rounded level of visibility around cigars that I personally wanted to see from manufacturers. And I think that those are some of the most interesting conversations I end up with in conversation with Esteban about, how they used to do this and what led them to the decision, our high capacity aging cases, how did that come apart? How did they go from, wills of cigars to thinking that the case was a better option? And, that's probably led me to some of the most fascinating, discoveries around this modern evolution of cigars that we've seen in manufacturing. Because while things are very old, things are constantly changing and progressing. And that's what we'd like to highlight as a company. And so if that's interesting to your viewers, I suggest, giving us a follow, and, we'll continue to try to put out the best quality we can around those topics.
Well, one of the things I also found interesting is, I smoked the cigars. I thought they were great, and I kind of following you guys a little bit, and it seemed like you guys are doing a great job. But another thing that really piqued my interest with you is around the trade show, and I know you have it with you. I had a few people mention your molds. Like, yeah, did you see what that guy at Domain's doing with the molds? And I said, no.
Sure.
Yeah, he's got interchangeable slots on the mold, which is not something you see very often. And I said, wait, what? I was like, wait, what is that again? And then it was explained to me, and I said, oh, interesting. And like, yeah, you got to see it. Yep. And which is another reason why I'm kicking myself I didn't make it over there, because I didn't get to go over and see it. But you have it with you. So you kind of brought a new take on the way cigar molds are made. Yeah,
absolutely. So they're not mine. I want to clarify that. They are another company, which they haven't announced the name of the company yet. I kind of know the name of the company. But the name of the mold is called Liga La Forma. So that's the name of the product itself. And this is put out by UEI Group, which is actually our engraving partner in the United States. They make the foils and the tool dies that we use for engraving. So they are world-class machinists.
Wow.
And I reached out to them about collaboration on this. Now, we know all of our vendors, all of our, I don't just go to a printer, and I don't think that a lot of people in this business don't just go to a printer and say, hey, I need this printed on, paper. We know the vendor for the paper. We know the vendor for the foils. We know the vendor for the molds. The benefit that I have in this is that I've been close personal friends with Eric Dumsch, who is my co-founder in Lujo Concepts. So he's someone who deeply appreciates cigars and the nuance of creating a project like this, and has the ability to execute on something like this. So I took an original design to them, and said, here's all the problems we need solved. The issue that we have, and you'll see some of these molds probably behind me in the background, is plastic molds. They really bend and flex, and they don't extract humidity. And our wood mold makers, this is like a leather pair of shoes of our craft in cigar making. They wear out over time, and you need a way of rejuvenating them. You have to care for them. You have to clean them. You have to, moisturize them. We have a video about all the problems that we're seeing with, both plastic molds and the limitations that we're currently seeing with wood molds. And so this design, let me crack it open here on the edge. This is actually version, what is this, like version 4 or 5? I have like a dozen more of these coming down here in the next couple of weeks. But we've made so many versions. I probably should have just grabbed all the different versions so you can see all the massive changes that we've made. So what we have here is a mahogany wood base, right? These are CNC machined, and the company has actually gone out and they are ordering custom machines just to make this product. So they have several of those custom machines on order. So they're well invested in this project. And this is a resin base. So this is not something, it'll withstand, tens of thousands of pounds without deforming. And it's more or less ablative. So, if you were to scrape it or chip it or something like that, it's actually going to behave much more like a rock than a piece of wood would. But that base, that carrier base, has the ability to be unscrewed here. You can use a Nicaraguan, quarter or a dime or what have you, and you can back out those nylon screws. This part comes off, and then these individually slide off, and they are keyed so that you can't possibly put the wrong insert on the wrong mold. So you need about 4 of these different bases to cover every size of cigar that's really out there. There's some exceptions. Sometimes a cigar maker might want a different length or something like that, and they can make those custom for those applications. So while the design is something that I've helped greatly with, and we've tested it extensively here in the factory, it is not mine. We're donating our efforts to this for the entire cigar community. And my hope is that we will get back to a version of cigar making that is more accurate. And you can just walk behind me. I got a guy has the Esteban's son is he's doing like a Mission Impossible move behind me because he doesn't want to get on camera. Anyway, sorry guys. So yeah, my hope is that we'll get back to a more traditional way of cigar making. Now, wood molds were always more expensive than plastic molds because of the maintenance. And you have to do something called spick and span on the mold, where you have to clean it out with a pick, and then you have to oil them. You can do that with these as well. But what a wood mold is going to give you is wood actually helps extract the humidity from the binder, which is super important in cigar making, because then you're going to put a wet wrapper on top of this, and you don't want the binder to slip with the wrapper. So you want it to be dry on that binder before you start rolling. The other thing is, of course, these are machined in CAD by some amazing machinists. These things are just, wicked smooth. And so these cigars are just absolutely perfect. The surfaces coming off of them are perfect. So when you think about making a Connecticut with a really thin wrapper, you want to have a base that is very smooth. And what happens with the plastic molds is the plastic molds don't extract that humidity. So you get this kind of bumpy texture along the surface because they don't have all the humidity pulled out of them. With box press, if you're doing like a semi-quadro where you're lightly filling the cigar and not doing as much center fill, the thing that happens with pressing those cigars, you still got a lot of humidity in them. So now the press is having to take on much more extraction of humidity in a plastic mold. And it causes a lot of those box press cigars to round out on you as you're smoking them. So that becomes an issue. But drying the cigar through the mold, what ends up occurring is the binder actually starts to expand into the mold, and that's what creates that real smooth surface along the cigar. So you get excellent shoulder performance in the forming of the shoulder. You get excellent lamination on the binder of the tobacco, and you get something that if one of these gets damaged or chipped or so on, which is going to happen, even the plastic molds, they get chipped and damaged, and then they're pretty well toast after a period of time because they'll just seize up on you. But those have to be repaired or replaced anyway. But you can buy just a sleeve of just the wood inserts, and one sleeve of 10 of these, you can fix up, 30, 40, 50 different pairs of molds. And a pair is 10 frames, so most rollers are going to work on absolute minimum of 10. 10's a very, very small stack, but normally you're going to work on 20. In our operation, we work on 30 to 40 molds per roller. So per roller, they're getting a lot of these molds. So you want the cigars coming off with dry binders, ready to roll, and you want the forming to be perfect coming out of these. And that's what Liga La Forma does for us here in this factory. Now, we haven't fully transitioned to this product yet. We have it in production right now, but we've not fully transitioned to it on all of our molds. So you're still going to see my last wood molds out there. You're going to see some plastic ones. We're trying to get production levels with our partner here that's making Liga La Forma. We're trying to get the production levels to the point where we can sustain continuously ordering these. And so they will be at the trade show again. They had a fantastic time coming to the trade show. They got to talk to a lot of people. And they had a ton of interest in these molds. So we're going to do kind of a follow-up video just on our YouTube in the future, discussing the whole development process and, how the molds came together and what type of design decisions, we made and why we made them. I'm really, really happy with how they turned out. Any questions about the molds?
Yeah, so each one of those frames is individual, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And,
Top and bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you said you can just buy them by the sleeve and just replace the individual ones instead of having to redo a mold. I mean, in the long run, I'm sure they're probably... Look, I know a lot of companies probably... I've been to some factories, they CNC their own plastic molds in-house.
Sure.
Other people, they make wood ones or they buy them, whatever. I guess the biggest thing that maybe some manufacturers are going to want to know is, what's the cost effectiveness of going down this route? Is this obviously more expensive, but you get a better end result? What's that trade-off there?
So you get a better end result. That's for sure. And this is a patent pending design. It is a valuable design. In that regard, and we've actually updated this current design further. Now, as far as ownership, cost of ownership, you've now fractionalized your ownership of wood molds because you have the resin base. You can swap that base out. You can take, if you have a production floor and you're like us and you're using 20 or 30 molds per roller, you can have 20 or 30 frames in a 7-inch frame, and you can have all the inserts for those different sizes. So because this is a static volume here, they will adjust the size of the cigar and the block stays the same. So you have a smaller cigar, it's the same proportional block in there. So you have just a little bit more wood or you have less wood on that insert. So you fractionalize your ownership in this, and you're able to order just the wood blocks. Now, I'm not the pricing guy necessarily. I'm the big idea guy, I guess, in this scenario. So as far as pricing is concerned, comparable to where the plastic molds are today, just for the inserts, right? Then once you have the frames, these frames, I mean, you're going to be buried with them, if you want to, they're going to last you forever. You're going to, we can hammer at these frames, all day long. I mean, they're just, they're bulletproof. So, this material, is, well, it's a little bit foreign to me actually, really, because this resin is something that they use in, printing presses is my understanding. So it's made for really high continuous compression, but we're talking like 50 tons, 100 tons, 30 tons, and that range is what this type of material would be used for. So your frame is going to be mostly indestructible, but your nylon set screws, that's a part that is an easy hardware store part. Your inserts here, you get a sleeve of the inserts, machined to spec, and this actually allows us to do some pretty cool stuff as far as shape. You mentioned one gentleman making his own. I only know of one guy that does that, by the way.
Yeah.
So I think we're thinking of the same guy.
Yeah.
But the thing is if you want to make a Solomon, right? It's really difficult to do that in plastic today. And that's probably what they're making those particular molds out of. Now, they'll get better mold performance out of a product like this because you're going to be able to dry out the binder. So whenever they go to laminate and apply the wrapper, you're going to get much smoother application. The cigar is not going to look so bumpy and so on, which, for a cigar maker, these are important topics. But for the people who are enjoying the cigar, it's the difference between someone putting something in their hand and going, yeah, that's good, and somebody putting it in their hand and going, that's great, that's impressive, and so it may not be something that your customer is immediately aware of what was different about that cigar, but certainly, whenever we make Solomon here in the factory today, which we do have Solomon wood molds, but we have a timetable on those. We've got to get a product like this into factories, not just my factories, into factories all over the valley and in other countries. And they're working on establishing themselves to be able to do exactly that. So anyway, I couldn't be more excited for my good friend to work on this project. They're putting together a sales support team that is bilingual as well. To be able to help people, understand what this product can do for them. And also, I mean, we're working on all kinds of cool. I can't talk about all the cool stuff necessarily because I think that they have to go out and I think patent some of it. But we have some incredible designs that we're doing, custom figurado designs and all this kind of stuff that's being laid to this technology. So yeah, I would say, you're fractionalizing your cost of ownership. That's going to be, paramount. And it's going to be paramount in the continued success of wood. Because look, wood molds, they'll potato chip over time too. We call it potato chipping when they they deform and, and I've used the really nice, we have them here, the really nice machined, plastic. The machined plastic is still a thermal plastic. It's really rough on the surface. The forming is really pretty rough. And a lot of that has to do with the milling, how they're milled. And then the ones that are kind of most common that we've been trying out here in Nicaragua, because we've tried all of them. They potato chip instantly. They start to divot, and I can spend $2,000 on a set of 20 of those. They're relatively cheap at $100 a pop. I can spend $2,000 on them, and then I come in the line and I look at them, only a week or two later, and all of the shoulders are divoted over and bumpy. They've been deformed. They don't line up perfectly because thermoplastics cool and set at different temperatures. So, the difference in ring gauge and 64ths of an inch of just two ring gauges, you're talking about thousandths of an inch. thousandths of an inch in the circumference difference. And that's why I always find it fascinating. I know there's some journalists out there that they measure the circumference. And I told them at the trade show, because a couple of them stopped by to take a look at this. And I told them, you gotta, if you're gonna report on the circumference of the cigar, the ring gauge, you gotta tell people what the humidity is setting at, because it's so humidity dependent. And what we've learned going through all these molds is the plastic ones are all over the place. the ring gauges are all over the place. They're over, they're under, they're over, they're under, even inside of the same volume. Like, so you get the same mold, every 10 of them will be 2 rings or so off, because it's a thermoplastic. It's how it's actually formed. So if we're going into an era of cigar making where we want to be producing the very best product, and our market in the United States demands the very best product, we have to be thinking about ideas like this that are going to bring us closer to tradition, but also influencing that tradition with modern material science and technology that's going to have us successful into the future. So I really love this product. But I can't wait to be able to announce that we have a single cigar line that was only made on these, and I feel like that's going to be coming up here in the next year, because we're getting very, very close on a market gold master of this. But wanted to show it off to everyone at the show. I'm super happy you got to swing by and take a look at it, Nicole. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for Liga La Forma. A lot of opportunity.
Absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time to really go through that, because I know, like I said, that was a very popular topic. Everyone kept mentioning your name. They mentioned the molds, and like, did you see the molds? And I'm like, no. And it's fascinating, but it makes a lot of sense. And that's why I asked about, just the cost on that too, because, I know that'll be the first thing. Well, what is this thing going to run me? And it's like, well, I mean, but I really appreciate you kind of breaking that down. So thank you for pulling that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't mean to pivot a little too hard, but
no, you're good.
We're just looking at the time of the show, and it is time to get to our final segment of the show before we wrap up, and that is our trivia segment, brought to you by Perdomo Cigars. Perdomo Cigars, featuring our 2025 Cigar of the Year, the Perdomo Legacy Nicaraguan Shade-Grown Epicure, as well as our 2025 Factory of the Year, Tabacalera Perdomo. Perdomo Cigars stand for quality, tradition, and excellence. All right, Nicole, this is your time to shine.
Oh, yeah.
I had to do this all on my own last week.
Oh. What topic did you do last week?
I don't even remember. I don't even know if we got to it.
All right.
There was a lot going on.
All right. Well, this week's topic is French cuisine.
French cuisine. I like to eat.
We do like to eat. But then I'm also kicking myself because for those of you who watch the show regularly, I am terrible at pronunciation of foreign things. So I am going to
know who else is really bad at pronunciation?
What?
David Garofalo.
Is he?
Yeah, but you know what? You got to give it to him because he tries. I mean, you can't, he tries.
I try too, but you laugh at me.
Well, because I can laugh at you.
Thanks.
I feel bad laughing at Dave.
Okay.
I don't know. I can laugh at you. I don't know.
All right. So, question number 1. What is traditionally the main ingredient in a classic French ratatouille? A, potatoes, B, mixed vegetables, C, lentils, or D, mushrooms?
I saw a movie about this one time. I think it was Mouse.
Ratatouille, I mean, it's vegetables, right? I mean, it's not potatoes. Vegetables.
All right, vegetables.
I'm going vegetables, yeah.
Okay.
I think that's pretty obvious. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you know French cuisine, some people do, some people
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I know some of it.
Movie about it, so
it was pretty. It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
We did actually watch that with Anastasia not too long ago.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. What does confit traditionally refer to? A, cooking food slowly in fat. B, grilling over an open flame. C, marinating in wine. Or D, baking inside a pastry.
Yeah, cooking in fat.
It's cooking in fat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I need harder questions.
Yeah, like duck confit.
Right.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What We're doing pretty good so far. Sometimes it's, Daniel, I got to be honest with you. Sometimes these are like, oh, shit, this is tough. And then sometimes it's like, it's not so bad.
It depends on what AI is feeling, I guess.
We're enough food people that these aren't tough. Yeah.
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 But also just like to eat, so.
Yeah.
Right.
What is the primary ingredient in traditional French aioli? A, mustard, B, garlic, C, shallots, D, tarragon.
It'd be mustard. I mean, I guess you can't really make a aioli without mustard.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Okay, that one's wrong. It's
Really?
garlic.
That one's really
Yes.
garlic.
Really?
Garlic aioli.
Yeah, I mean a garlic aioli, yeah, but just straight aioli, isn't it mustard?
Well, it said French
I guess
aioli,
everyone does a
it's-
garlic. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll take the L. I'll take the L.
Yeah. I'm surprised.
That's okay. I feel like some of these are easy. But also, I think I'm just terrified to pronounce everything wrong.
You couldn't even
that's part of it.
pronounce.
I know, I couldn't even pronounce. That
Pronounce.
could just be the tequila. It's okay.
Or the
Today's
British.
my Friday.
Or the British. Sometimes she pronounces things a little wonky because they pronounce it different in England. So she's got that rolling around in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nicole,
You're originally from England?
she lived in England growing up for a while.
So I was born in
okay.
Massachusetts, and then I moved to England when I was 12, and I lived there until I was 19, and then I moved back.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So you guys call what's pepper rocket? You guys call it, like, you guys rename stuff all the time.
pepper rocket.
Like,
rocket is
yeah,
arugula.
Yeah, exactly. Arugula. Yeah, pepper rocket is what I was in. It's so confusing because when I go to London, I'm like, didn't you guys run the spice trade? Did you just like forget how to use them? Because they like ran the spice market for so long. I'm like, you guys should have just like tried some, but no,
They're not known for their cuisine.
No, but that's what's so confusing. There's so many phenomenal chefs too that are out of there, and
But they trained in other countries.
Well, they went to France, is what they did. Yeah.
Well, it's like
yeah.
Gordon Ramsay is a good example because Gordon Ramsay is
Yeah.
from England, but he trained under Joel Robuchon and Guy Savoy,
Yeah.
are French.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they didn't learn in England.
Thanks for clearing that up for me. I thought they were from Stockholm.
yeah, I know. So it's like once you know that, you're like, all right, it makes sense.
Yeah. Just don't try Gordon's grilled cheese. Whatever you do, his grilled cheese is
Not good.
is nowhere to be found. All right,
Yeah.
you can look it up later. Search
Okay,
later.
but-
Gordon Ramsay grilled cheese. It's like an internet joke.
Okay. Nowhere to be found. Although we're excited. There's that new British restaurant coming.
Yeah, we do have a
Yeah.
we have a British restaurant coming to Boston.
And I'm just more excited because they offer traditional Sunday dinner, which I can't get anywhere here. So that's exciting. But back to food.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us one more.
Let's do one. Yeah, we'll do one more. What fruit is traditionally used in a classic tart tatin? A, pear, B, peach, C, apple, or D, cherry?
Tart tatin. I'm trying to think of what they had access to. It's gonna be wrong, but I think peach. I think it's gonna be wrong.
I was gonna say pear.
Ooh, okay. It was apple.
It was apple, really?
Yeah.
Really?
See, I
Really?
actually,
Oh,
when
that's
I
good.
first read it, I thought it was pear because
Yeah, I don't know why my mind went to pear.
In a traditional.
Yeah, I went to pear too, but oh yeah, no, I was thinking English. I would have been. We started. Yeah. All right. I'll take the L. Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
thrown off on
Yeah.
that one.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
right.
that was pretty good. We made
Right.
the best of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not super long. We have a little fun with it, and then
Yeah.
it's nice. It kind of breaks up the discussion.
Yeah.
Um,
It's cool. Yeah.
But anyway, that was our trivia segment brought to you by Perdomo Cigars. Daniel, before we wrap up the show, I do want to say I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk with us and really filling us in with everything that you're doing and kind of who Domain is, who you are, kind of what you're shooting for. And I have to say, I mean, so far with the cigars I've smoked, they've been great. I think that you guys are really onto something. And like I said, I see you on the shelf in my home stores, and it's nice to see. And you seem like you're growing, so just keep doing it. Keep doing it, because I think you guys have an exciting brand.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate the encouragement.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not easy, and I know it's a lot, but whatever you're doing, it's working, at least for now. So right. I know things change, but I have faith you'll figure it out. So congrats on all this success. But before we do wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to mention? Anything you want to throw out there? Anything you want to plug?
Just that we just launched Domain distribution today. Actually, Los Amigos Cigars is coming to the United States through Domain distribution. So go check them out. A great group of guys with incredible backgrounds, and I would actually love for you to have them on the show sometime. I think
sure.
You'd be fascinated to speak with them, because they're doing some cool things, and that for us, launching that service was more I think a testament to the trust that our customers have had in us in the factory, and couldn't be happier to build such an incredible group of people to work with, and production, manufacturing, and now on the stateside relationship. So very happy about that. So go check out Los Amigos Cigars, a fantastic customer of ours. Check out Pariah Cigars, Domain Cigars, and Domain Cigars on YouTube, where if you really like me to meander on for really long periods of time about something that you didn't know was important, that I think is important, that's the place to get your fix. So.
Well, awesome. Guys, go check out Domain Cigars today on all of their platforms, everywhere online. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Smokin Tabacco Show and the Spare Note series, everywhere podcasts are available, in our YouTube channel. And as always, you can head to SmokinTobacco.com for more news, reviews, and updates from the cigar industry. That's going to be our show for tonight. With that, we say good night. Take care.